Hi there, in today's Posca Club we're going to draw a really simple zombie character with just a few pens. So let me show you what colours I'm using. I'll be going for this, what's this, violet and lavender. They're my main two colours for the zombie's skin. So you kind of want a dark tone and a light tone of the same colour. So you could go for a green and a light green, you know, you could go for brown and cacao brown, anything, as long as you've got a dark version and a lighter version of the colour. You also want a secondary colour, which is going to be yellow for me. This is going to be for the eyes and for the teeth. And then finally, what we might do towards the end of the session, just show you how to take the head off, you know, put some stitches across the head. So even though we've finished a drawing, what we're going to do at the end of the session is still kind of manipulate that drawing and add to that drawing even though it looks like it's finished. Nice technique to be able to know. Black and white as well, just for a bit of outlining, maybe a whites for a little bit of reflections in the eyes and the teeth. We'll see how we go. The only other thing I would say is with the black pen, always use a set of black pens. So I usually have a 5M, a 3M and a 1M. Here it is, a 1M on standby as well. So yeah, let's do it. Now pencils are for losers, so we're going to go straight in with a pen today. So let's go in with the yellow. What we're going to do is position the eyes and the teeth on this character. We're not going to give it a bottom jaw. That's why it's going to be a nice, quick and easy zombie to draw, because a big chunk of the face is actually going to be missing. What we're going to do is put in a couple of eyes right in the middle of the page. Now have like a little tiny gap in between the eyes. And don't worry about going too perfectly circular with them, just something like that will do. Now there's going to be a little triangular shape in here for the nose, which we'll add later. But let's go and put in some teeth. So my suggestion for teeth is let's start off with like a bouncy line across here somewhere. So I reckon about here, just kind of taking from the outside edge of the eyeball there. We're just going to do a bouncy line. See, I've done 4 bounces there and it's got about to the middle. Let's do another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that will do. Join up the bottom pieces, look, just little tiny curves down the bottom. Now, of course, these teeth are quite uniform for a zombie. You can make them as wonky as you like. And again, towards the end of the session, what we might do is just play with them a little bit and change them into something a lot wonkier. Let me zoom in a bit, actually, so you can see what I'm doing a bit better. I just realised how far out I was on that. There we go. That's a little bit better, isn't it? Okay, next colour. Go and take the skin colours that you're going to use. We've got, I'm using violet and lavender. Park the lavender, park the lighter colour for the time being. Just go and grab that violet colour, and we're going to go and throw in some extra lines to help us finish off this character. So first thing we'll do is we're going to take a slice out of the top of the eyeball. We'll do the right hand side first. It's going to have a little curve, take a little slice out, and a little flick across like that, like a little tick. Like a Nike tick, I guess it is, isn't it? Do the same for the other side, just going across. A little tick like that. Doesn't have to be perfect both sides. Just throw that in. You see how it just slices off the top of the eyeball as well. So we started outside the eyeball, we finished outside the eyeball as well, yeah? That's what you're aiming for. Okay, let's go and put in some cheekbones. Now for the cheekbones, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of take a little line that goes around the edge of the eyeball here, but halfway through that we're going to whack out a little cheekbone. So starting about here, look, a little line that goes around the edge, whack in a cheekbone, and then continue going around the edge. Yeah, see that line there? Whack in that cheekbone. It's like a capital C kind of shape. Let's do the same on the other side. So starting over here, look, go around a little bit, whack in that cheekbone. Doesn't matter how wonky it is. That's why I love drawing zombies. Wonky looks a lot better in a zombie. So let's throw that bit in. A couple more lines and we can start adding some colour. This will start making a little bit more sense. Let's go and put in the skull now. So well, the top of the skull. What we're going to do is going to take a line from that cheekbone going into that cheekbone, going all the way around the top. Now you could do it as a big like upside down U shape. Let's try go for something a little bit wonkier though, you know. So let's go up. Let's sort of just change the lines a little bit so it's got some like bends in there as well. Now, mine's quite uniform. Doesn't matter if yours is uniform, a little bit lopsided. That always looks a little bit better if you do it lopsided. Last thing we'll do, let's go and join these teeth, well, second from last thing, let's go and join these teeth into the face as well. So right from the side of the tooth there, I'll get right in close on this bit because we need to get this bit just right. Here we go. So right at the edge of the tooth, we're going to jump out first, and then we're going to have a line that comes up into the cheekbone again. So jumping out, up, and then into the cheekbone. Do you see that? Let's do the same on the other side. Jumping out, up, into the cheekbone. Lovely. Let's throw in that nose shape. I'm going to leave the nose shape for the time being. I'm not going to colour it in for the time being, because I might stick a bit of red in there towards the end of the session. Again, this is all about nailing a really quick character and then being able to manipulate it and change it afterwards. So let's go and put in a shape like this, triangle shape, and a line in between. And that will make a lot more sense later when we, if we add some colour. I might just colour it in black. In fact, I will colour it in black to start with, and then I'll show you what it looks like when we colour it in with a different colour. Right, now is the very last lines to do. Very last of the guidelines is the ears. I'm going to keep the ears nice and simple, nothing complicated. Just over here, look, just a little curve there, from the side of the eye into the cheekbone. Keep it like that. Again, not complicating this picture at all. Want to keep it nice and simple so it's quick and easy to draw a zombie, but then, you know, you can add another 15 minutes to your session or to your drawing by changing certain features of the zombie. Right then, let's go and chuck some colour in. So the eyeballs I'm just going to leave as one flat yellow colour. So grab your yellow pen. Anything underneath that eyebrow that we did, is what we're going to colour in. Now, of course, I'm using yellow on cardboard. It is a little bit transparent, so I might need to give that another coat later. It's the main reason why I'm doing it first. But let's go and chuck some colour on. We'll add a little white reflection in these eyes as well, just to give them a little bit of shape. If you wanted to take it to the next level, you could, of course, add an ochre shadow around the bottom of the eyeball. But let's keep it simple. Let's get down in the teeth. Again, we'll give these teeth another coat later on. Awesome. So yeah, like I said, the yellow in the eyes is just going to be one tone of yellow. Not too much in the way of shading. We'll play with the reflection later, but no real shading in there. Now, when it comes to the rest of the face, we are going to play with the shading a little bit. We are going to add a little bit of a shadow in there. Okay, so let's go and put some little strategic shadows in there. So the same colour that you used for the skin, for those guidelines, which should be the darker colour, if you were paying attention, should be the darker colour out of the two. Carry on using that. We're going to go and throw in some little shadows, strategic shadows in certain places. So this is where I would expect to see some shadows. Let's go first off into the side of the head. You see where we're kind of just nipping in behind the cheekbone there? Let's go and take a line from there. Let's bring it into that cheekbone. Colour that in. Definitely expect to see a shadow there. Also underneath the cheekbone, just this bit here, look. Let's go and put a little shadow in there as well. Sorry, that wasn't underneath, that was kind of like on the cheekbone. The next bit is under the cheekbone, which is where we're going to come from here. Look, just bring a line out, colour all that in. You are losing some of these lines now, some of these guidelines we put in, so I'm trying to remember where that cheekbone was. I kind of like it when we lose the guidelines a little bit, because it gives you a little bit more flexibility when it comes to outlining later on. Okay. Couple more shadows. Let's keep going with it, shall we? I'm going to put one under the ear, like the bottom half of the ear. Well, not quite the bottom half, but you know what I mean. Just under the ear like that. And I'm also going to expect that inside the ear there's going to be a little shadow. So let's just go and put a little shape in like this. So just following the outside curve. Following the outside curve there of the ear. Let's put a little curve on the inside. Now, a lot of these shadows that we're putting in are going to look quite bulky. They're going to look a little bit wrong, maybe a bit too big. That's fine, because when we go over with the lavender, we're going to start adding a little bit of finesse to these shadows. So they will look much nicer then. Right, where else are we? Let's go and work on the eyes now. Let's put a little shadow here just around the edge of the eyes. So you know that bit that's stuck out? Go and put a little shadow there. Same on the other side, on the inside here. Look, just around there and up. Kind of where we'd expect to see a bit of a shadow. You also might expect to see a bit of a shadow underneath the eyebrow. So let's thicken that bit, look. Just across there. Thicken that bit. You can't go too far wrong with this. My suggestion is always just have a little glance over your character. Think, right, where is there going to be a shadow? And then just throw the shadow in. If it doesn't look right towards the end after you've finished colouring him, we can always take it out. It's easy enough to take out, but yeah, take a risk. Go and chuck some shadows in and we'll see how we go. Okay, you ready to do the other side? Let's try and do the other side in the same kind of order. So we did that little bit at the side of the head first that goes into the cheekbone. Then I think we did the bit across the bottom of the cheekbone. And then finally underneath the cheekbone. Once you've got that side of the head done, then we went into the ear. So we've got two shadows in the ear, one down the bottom there, a little curve down the bottom, and then this other hook. So you're going to follow the outside curve of the ear, then bring it back, make it a bit thicker as you bring it back. It just needs to be a little subtle shadow in there, by the way. Let's keep it going with the eyes. So we've got this little shadow around the edge of the eye there. Little shadow around the edge of the eye there as well. And then one more across the eyebrow. Just kind of thicken that out and colour it in. Awesome, we're getting there. Let's go and quickly whip on some, let's whip on some lavender next. Now what we're going to do is we put on this lavender is we're going to cover over quite a lot of these lines. So see these little guidelines that we did around the top, around the ears, around the teeth there, where they're really thin lines. A lot of those lines are going to disappear under this lavender, mainly so that when we come down to the shadow here, we can just start bringing the shadow in really, really gently. So let's just give it a few seconds to dry. You can still see it's a little bit wet there. I always have a hairdryer on hand for moments like this. There we go. Very important tool. If you're going to be a Posca artist, you will need a hairdryer, especially if you want to be a productive Posca artist. Okay, let's go and do this lavender. So you want to take the lighter colour now that you're using for your skin. For me, it was lavender. And what we're going to do is we're going to start right on the line at the top. As we come down the side of the head, we're going to let that shadow slowly creep in. See how that shadow looks really tapered and thin? Love getting these real thin lines with fat pens. Carry that on. Let's bring it round the cheekbone. We're going to go over that part and we're going to just let that shadow drop in again. Underneath the eye. Finish off this line down the bottom here, going from that toothlip again over the line, but letting the shadow creep in eventually up to the top. There's our first line. Let's try and repeat that over on the other side then, shall we? So starting at the top again, we're going rid of that line, just let the shadow slowly creep in. Go around the cheekbone, again going over the line and then letting the shadow creep in a little bit. Then finish off around the side of the tooth. Again, just slowly letting that shadow creep in. We'll come back to the ears a little bit later. There's no rush for those. Let's do the ears later. Just want to focus on this face for the time being. First thing up here, let's just do that little V shape first. Try not to go over the line too much, just there. But do that little V shape at the top. I wonder if I can get a little bit closer in for you. There we go. Once you've got that, then let's go back around it, really as close as you can to the lavender shape, the violet shape. And then we're going to go round the eyeball. We're going to go round the eyeball. So this piece of shadow, we need to taper that off, make sure it's really sharp. Same with this piece of shadow here. See where it's got like quite a blunt end to it? We need to taper that off. So we're going to go up there and around the other eyeball. So watch this, like that. Just tapering out the shadow. You might take a little bit of eyeball with you, that's fine. Up there, bring it down the other side. Again, just tapering out the fat ends of these shadows. Finish off across the other eyebrow. We're just about good to go. Let's make it easy for ourselves. Let's just go around the nose here and go around the teeth as well. Get right in the cracks of those teeth. Now we are going to give it another coat of yellow in a little while. So when we give it that second coat of yellow, we can kind of tidy up any of these fat lines that are going in between the teeth. So don't worry if you get that. Also, don't forget we're going to put some black lines around those teeth as well. So any fat lines that are kind of coming up in between the teeth because you're using a 5M, don't panic about them. It's okay for them to be there. Right, let's colour in. Start at the top, work our way down. Now don't forget, main technique for colouring in is outline the whole area first, then just start colouring in between the lines so that you don't have to think about what you're colouring in, you can just get on with colouring in. Have a sheet of cardboard handy for priming your pen. Just going to push the nib into the barrel to collect more paint every now and then. Don't wait until your nib is dry, because if you do that, you've waited too long. Keep on working your way down. If you want to take your colouring into that next level, then try and have all your strokes going in one direction. It will give for a much more flatter layer of colour, a neater layer of colour, rather than just scribbling all over the place. For some of you, you know, that scribbly texture might actually work, especially in a zombie. It might look good, so I shouldn't worry too much about it. If that is your preference, then go and do that. Thing to remember though is when you're doing it that way, don't forget that you do need to leave it to dry. So as soon as you lay your paint, as soon as you're colouring down, your paint is wet and it immediately starts drying. It gets to a point where, you know, it's going to stay wet for a little while so you can kind of work with it, but it will get to a point where it's actually drying, and if you start colouring over half dry paint, what's going to happen is it's going to start just flaking up. It's going to start scraping up all this soft flaky paint. So as much as possible, try and get it done first time round. If you miss a bit, leave it, get back when it's dry, give it another coat when it's dry. Awesome, that's looking a lot more kind of 3D now. That's really coming out, isn't it? It's really popping out for us. Let's go and do the ears as well. Again, with these ears, we are going to make some of these lines disappear. Let the shadow come back in, just like that. Down here, let's go around that curvy shape that we did and just bring that shadow back in gently. So it's a real thin tapered end to it. Don't get too hung up about getting the colouring in just perfect. 9 times out of 10 when you put the black outline on, all of these little imperfections that we've got happening in here will just kind of disappear. The black outline will just take them away in the sense that it adds another level of contrast. So you know, the little mistakes here and there are not the most obvious thing you see. The black line is the most obvious thing you see. Fab. Right, I am going to give this this yellow another coat just while the lavender is drying as well. So yeah, so I'm not going to fast forward this bit. Normally I would zoom through this bit, speed it up for you, but it's just the eyes, so it won't take too long. And plus, if you've used yellow in your eyes as well, you'll definitely want to give it another coat. That's it, eyes looking a little bit more opaque. Let's go and do the teeth. And again, this is a good opportunity to just cut out those gaps in between the teeth. So those gummy bits just are nice and sharp in there. But yeah, again, don't worry too much about it. They are going to be hidden behind a black line in a little while. Right, that was quick, yeah? Let's quickly throw on the black outlines now. So again, I'm just gonna mute everything while I dry it with a hairdryer. Awesome, I got it moved along a lot quicker. So grab your 3M now. So you can see like the size I've done this, it's like the palm of my hand kind of size. It's only a small little drawing today. So I'm going to use a 3M, a slightly thinner pen. It's a brand new 3M, so the nib will be quite stiff and thinner than normal. You know, if you've used a 3M pen for a while, it would get you know, a little bit fatter as it gets softer. Okay, let's whip some outlines in, shall we? We're going to start over in the eyes. Okay, so first line I'm going to do, remember those kind of that Nike swish that we did across the eye? We're going to try and put that back in again. Now it's important to remember that this line across here is the shadow line. We're not going over that. We're going across this line where the eye is. So from about here, look, make sure you just hook down into there, into the eye and across like that. Now, of course, I double line everything I do, so go and double line it, make it wonky. See what you can get away with your wonky lines. We're going to continue that line. See this bit at the top here, that would be tapered off. We could taper that off with a lavender, or you can taper it off with just dots and dashes like that. But we're going to continue that line, so it's going to leave the page and then it's going to come back on, and we're going to put in a little bit around there. So just up and down, just a little bit of a fat eyelid across there. Now let's quickly go around the eyeball. Now the eyeball, we're just going to do the yellow section. Now I'm working on cardboard. This is heavily corrugated cardboard, so it's naturally making some of my lines really wonky. And again, that's why I like drawing wonky lines, because it will, you'll get wonky lines here and there anyway. But if you do it on purpose, they're just going to look so much better. Let's flick a little line down the bottom here as well. Just whoosh, just there. Maybe one over here as well. Whoosh. Flick it off. Try and taper it off so it's a bit of a crease. If you can't taper it off, just come back to it later, and we'll tidy it up with this lavender. But that's good. Let's go and repeat that process on the other side. So around there first. Little flick out, double line it, make it wonky. Take that line for that big eyebrow bit at the top, so it kind of leaves the page, it comes back, jumps up like that. Doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same as the other side, it's not important. Around the yellow of the eyeball, just the yellow, again that corrugated cardboard making it very difficult for me to go smoothly in a circle, so let's go wonky in a circle. Flick a few lines under the eyes for some creases. These lines are almost triangles. They're a little bit fatter as they join the eye line, and really skinny as they flare out a little bit. Right. Let's zoom into, let's go and do the nose next. So all we're going to do is just going to try and outline the two different sections of the nose. So you want to try and leave a little bit of that purple, a little bit of that violet in the middle there. See how it doesn't really matter if our nose was wonky. Just going to outline it like that. My suggestion as we go to those cheekbones now, I tend to like to draw the bits that are closest to me or to the viewer first, and then draw the lines behind them. Unlike when I'm colouring in, I'll colour the bits at the back, like the shadows around the edges first, and then bring it all forward. With the lines, I like to draw the bits that are right up front first. So remember that cheekbone. So we've kind of got a bit of a shape of a cheekbone here. Now remember, we need to include the shadow as we're outlining it. So it was like it was that curve around the eyeball with that knobbly C shape that comes out there. So let's start it up here. Make sure we go around that into that ear. Make sure we include the shadow as we come back, and then a little flick across there. That was our cheekbone shape. Okay, let's double line that. Let's make it nice and wonky. And then let's have a go at the other side. So coming in from about there, around the cheekbone, make sure you get the shadow in as well, up the top, and then back around the eye again. When you're doing those wonky lines, if you get like these big gaps in between the lines, make sure you colour those in as well. You want to get rid of those, even if sometimes it's a massive gap. And you know, if you do a line and you think, well, that is way too big, I've really messed it up, you can always go back and with the original colour that was underneath and thin out that line if you need to. Same way as we like cut out, you see like these edges here, we'll use that lavender to cut out those edges. Same way as we did that, we can also do the same with thinning lines out. So if you have some fat bits in there that you really don't like, then we can get rid. Okay, what should we do now? Let's, whilst the cheekbones are drying, let's go and work on the teeth. So I'm going to start with the middle teeth, work my way out to the side, because all these teeth are overlapping a little bit because the way we did them with the fat yellow pen. So let's go and do the middle teeth first. Double line. Nice and wonky with your line work. And then we're going to go and work on the outer teeth. And again, just double lining everything. But you see how these outer teeth are just kind of sitting behind the front teeth a little bit. Let's keep going. You can see how making these teeth wonky looks better. It's ideally what you want. One more time. Awesome. Teeth look great. Right, let's bring this all together now. We're gonna do one big line that's gonna go all the way around the skull, and then we'll work on the ears. So my suggestion is we start over here. Look, we're gonna draw this line. It's gonna go around the edge, that line that jumped out up there behind the cheekbone. Of course, you're gonna do it twice. Same on this side. Let it jump out up there behind the cheekbone. Do it twice. Nice wonky lines everywhere. Awesome stuff. Then we're going to put that line that goes all the way around the top of the skull. So you see these bits that are coming in for the edge of the ears, use those. They're your guides. They're the bits you've got to hit. So just across here, look. That's the line you need to hit. Now obviously you can see a little bit of lavender just peeping through on that side. That's fine. That's why we double line stuff, so that we can go over that again. But let's just give it one line all the way around first. One line to get your eye in, second line to just sort of tidy up. Go over all those bits that you missed. Make it nice and wonky. On your way. Whip in the ears and the outside of the ears. Make sure you include that shadow. Look at that. So the corrugated cardboard made me do that wonky line just there. So that was meant to be just a normal curve, like a C shape, but because it was corrugated, I made that little mistake and the wonky line is in there. But look how much better it looks with that wonky line in. It looks a bit more like an ear. So, you know, always run with any mistakes that you make. Just ask yourself, I know it's not what I intended to draw, but is it actually better than what I intended to draw? Because sometimes it will be. Okay, remember those little shadows that we did on the inside of the ears? Let's go and give those a little curve around the top there like that. Just above the shadow. Awesome. Down the bottom here, we're just going to throw in a couple of extra lines, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put some stitches across the head in a little while. So a couple of extra lines. So see these teeth? Let's put some, so like this bit. Yeah, you see this kind of lip that just is, that isn't there to make it look like the tooth is kind of rammed in and that the gum is going around the tooth. It just attaches everything together a little bit more. We haven't got any of that going across these teeth. We've only got it on the outside ones. So let's go and put some of those lines across the teeth like that. Again, quite fat, cumbersome lines at the moment. Don't panic about that. We can tidy those up a little bit later. You'll also notice as well, I did just do a little bit of a smudge there. Pointing it out to you because it doesn't bother me that it's there. So don't let it bother you if you do little smudges like that. Just know, have the confidence that we can come back and we can fix it a little bit later. Right, what I want to do now is we just want to spend a few seconds just tidying up some of these lines, and then I want to put some stitches across the this guy's head. Okay, so yeah, just to show you how we can kind of manipulate this character and change it on the fly. Right, tidy up these lines. So go and grab your lavender. What we're going to do is any line, well, every line really that kind of tapers off, just go and chop out the edge. Make sure everything's dry. Look how we're just taking little tiny slices out of all of those lines. Let's do a little bit at the top here. See how much better it looks. Let's go and do these bits down here. So you could just, you know, you could use a thin pen to do all this, but if all you've got with you is a fat pen, you can still get the right effect with a fat pen. I mean, some of these lines are so thin, I don't think you'd even get them with a 1M. That one in the middle just needs a bit of touching up, doesn't it? That's a bit of a fat one. There we go. See how we just got those little creases above the teeth. They look nice now. Keep on going. Let's go and do the other side of our character. Just scan your piece of artwork, decide which lines need tapering off, and then go and taper them off. Don't spend too much time deciding. Just if it stands out to you, then taper it off. Okay, so let's use some of the colours that are already in our artwork just to give this character just a little bit more texture. So we're just going to take that violet that we've got in for the shadows, and now we're going to use it as just for some spots and things. So just do them in 2s and 3s. Poke a few all over the place. Don't think about it too much, just chuck a handful in. Then what we'll do is let's go and put in some pupils. We'll start off with just some normal black pupils. I'm going to give this character crazy eyes, so let's go with one down here, one up here. I like how that's looking, and yeah, we'll leave that to dry for a little bit. Now, do you remember? I mean that's pretty much. You could have that as a finished picture. I will probably put a little power line around the outside, a little white border around the outside, because I like that on a sketch on a brown piece of card. But I'm going to do that right at the end. So, but right at the beginning of the session, I was talking about you know, when a piece is finished, you can still add to it. And so what we're going to do now is just going to spend a few minutes just adding to this piece. So the kind of stuff we're going to do is we're going to put like a line of stitches across the head there. Okay, so let's start that all off, shall we? We'll put in, I'm going to use the black pen just to put in a little line about where I want these stitches to be. So I'm going to go from there to there. We're going to leave that to dry because I'm going to put some extra colours over the top. Whilst we're leaving that to dry, let's go and put some different colours inside the face here as well. So this is generally, when it comes to you know, drawing with Posca pens, unless you're drawing two pieces at the same time, you're just going to be going backwards and forwards to different sections of your artwork. So you're kind of going to do a bit, let it dry, and whilst it's drying, you may as well do something else to kind of keep yourself busy. So we're just going to go backwards and forwards. So we'll let that line dry up there, and what we're going to do is I'm introducing a new colour. So this is coral pink. We didn't speak about this right at the start of the session. Coral pink, and let's go and put in some coral pink in the nose there. It looks a bit messy, don't worry about that. That messiness is okay because we'll definitely use those black lines, bring those black lines to the front again, but we just wanted to put, I just wanted to put a little bit of colour in there. Let's also use that coral pink. Let's go and put in a little line around the pupils. Look at that, what a difference it makes. And again, we'll come back to that. We'll add some reflections in there to make them look even better. This line up top is dry now. Let's go back to that line. So like I said, what we're going to do is add some stitches. We're going to add some really big fat stitches in here. Let me zoom in right close so you can see what we're going to do. There we go, that's about as close as we need to get. And so with the grey pen, what we're going to do with the grey pen is we're just going to put in some like little sausage shapes. They're going to go over this black line. You see how that black line now disappears? The black line disappears and the grey goes over the top, but the black line still looks like a line all the way across. So rather than, you know, traditionally what you would have done is drawn those stitches in and then done the black line in sections behind, whereas this is just a nice, much quicker, easier way. Makes that line look all joined up a little bit better as well. Okay, go grab your lavender colour, the skin colour that you used for your character, and what we're going to do at this time is going to add a little lip to the edge of the head here. Look, so just in there, a little lip, just there. Let's do the same on the other side. Just bring that out and that out. Doesn't matter, again, if you go over that black line, doesn't matter too much. We definitely want the black line around the outside of the head to disappear, not necessarily the black line going across the head there. So what we're doing is just making it look like a little fold of skin, the same way as we did down here in the teeth. See where we've got those little kind of fold of skin around the outside edge of the teeth? We're going to do the same up here on the head as well. Okay. Of course, we've got to wait for that to dry, so whilst we're waiting for that to dry, let's get in with our black pen and go and tidy up that nose. We can just get back in, look. Little tiny thin black pen. Bring that black line back to the front, tidy it all up like that. Whilst you've got that thin black pen, why not put some little black dots under in the eyes. Across there, there we go. Fab. Have we given it long enough? Yeah, we've given it long enough up top to dry. So I'm gonna whip back to my black PC3M, and we're gonna go and put some of these lines back in. So two things we're gonna do. One is we're gonna go around each stitch, and then we're gonna add a little hole to that stitch as well. Second thing we're gonna do is go around the end bits, these flappy bits at the end. So let's go and do the stitches first, nice and easy. Just gonna go around each stitch. But maybe this bit at the bottom right of each stitch, just go a little bit thicker with that line so it looks like a bit of a shadow. So it looks like it's just coming up a little bit more. Definitely look like stitches now. But the other thing to make them look even better is adding these little circles, a little kind of C shape around the top and the bottom, like that. Just trying to make it look like there's a hole that the stitches are going into. So let's go and add these little holes to the top and the bottom. How's that looking? Yeah, that looks not bad. Not bad, I'll take not bad. Last thing we're going to do on this bit of stitching is just put these lines back in. So we're going to go around that, just a little flick in. Around that, a little flick in. Same on the other side. Going to go around it, a little flick. Around it, a little flick. Just looks like a little bit of a fold of skin around there. Now I'd probably use my thin pen for this next bit. We're just going to put some little lines in around those holes now. So watch this, about here, look, let's go for some. Just going around the edges. Broken lines are good. And hopefully that just again makes those holes look a bit more realistic. What about some little lines across the stitching, little curves to make it look a bit more string-like, rather than a bit of thread? That looks quite nice as well. Let's finish this off, shall we? We're gonna so to finish off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some little wrinkles in the head, and then we're going to cut out with the lavender. So there we go. Just chuck a few little wrinkles in the head. Again, we'll cut out with the lavender. We'll taper those off, make them look really nice. So go and grab that lavender. We'll do these little bits at the top first. Look, just there. Just there's quite a lot taken out of that one. Whoops. Don't want to take quite so much out. There we go. And there we go. If this bit's dry, go and taper out this bit as well. So we've got some nice little creases coming in there. And we're on the home straight now. Let's just wrap this up now with a few little reflections in the eyes and a power line around the whole piece. So I'm going to do the power line first, because the reflections in the eyes are just a great way of just bringing it all together. And also, when you do the power line, you are going to get right into these corners, so there is potential that you're going to need to use the black again. to tidy up some of these lines. See that smudge we spoke about earlier? Completely forgotten about that. Nowhere near as noticeable either in there. But we'll fix it there. Let's get this white power line in first. Because while the white power line is drying there, we're going to do the reflections in the eyes, then we'll go and tidy up all these black lines, and then we're just about finished. So let's put a little white reflection in there, look, halfway on the iris, halfway on the pupil. See how it just brings that character alive when you do that? Love that kind of stuff. Last little thing then, black pen again. Let's go and tidy up some of these lines. So in there, look, let's just go and get back in there. Sharpen them off where we went right in with the white pen. We can now bring that line back, bring those sharp corners back. Yeah, just tidying up. For me, half of drawing is about making a mess, being confident enough to make a mess. The other half of drawing is tidying up, being confident enough to go in and tidy up what you've just done. Awesome. There's plenty more we could do with that to change it up, but I'm going to leave it like that. I'm just going to add a few little drips down the bottom here, I think. Maybe a little one on the ear as well. That's a nice way to finish. And yeah, I'm just going to sign it. I don't want to overwork this one. Let's sign it. Tooth as well. Don't forget that tooth. I did say I'd fix that, didn't I? So look, just a little bit of yellow. A little spot of yellow over there. Tooth is as good as new. In fact, you know, I probably would just flick just a couple of lines. I know I said I'm finished, but let's just flick a few lines in there. Now I'm finished. Not going to do any more with that. That's great. There's plenty of other opportunities for you to add veins, add spots, drippy bits, all sorts to that. Maybe bring those stitches, bring them across the eyeball as well, across the ear. Whatever you want to do, just have some fun with this and see how far you can take it. Right, I hope you enjoyed that session. Thank you very much. Don't forget to post it online, #doodle with Korp, or tag me so I can see everything you've drawn. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next video.